Welcome all to Week 13. Week 12 was by far our best week yet. We walked out of Week 12 like a bunch of bosses. We both shot a 5-0 ATS and 4-1 straight up. A quick look back to our overall records on the season. Billy B is on fire and I have finally broken the 500 mark ATS this season. Last week's question of the week asked the viewers, which running back will have the most rushing yards in Week 12? Caleb Richardson correctly guessed that Mark Ingram would rush for the most yards in Week 12, but was about 100 yards off of his rushing total. Ingram led all running backs in Week 12 with 146 rushing yards. And a big round of applause for Rick Enriquez as he correctly called that the Bucs would upset the Seahawks. That really was a bold prediction. Congrats to those who are featured, and don't forget to answer this week's question of the week. For the top 5 teams leading into Week 13, we round off number 5 with the New York Giants. They took care of the Browns when they needed to. At number 4, we will stick with the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders just escaped the second half collapse against Carolina, and I'm just not sure if they can beat the Seahawks yet for the number 3 spot. Losing to the Bucs will surely drop them in other rankings, but I still think they are better than the Raiders. Number 2 goes to the New England Patriots. The Patriots always play the Jets closely, and this past week was no exception. And at number 1 is the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys outscored Kirk Cousins and that dynamic Redskins offense on Turkey Day, and still sit as the kings of the NFL. This leads us to this week's question of the week. This one was sent in by @TheDog52 on Twitter. Which team from the AFC North will make the playoffs, and why? Comment your response down below, and the best comments get featured in next week's video. Our first matchup of the week looks at the Kansas City Chiefs traveling into Atlanta to take on the top 3 offense in the Falcons. Atlanta looked abysmal in the first half against the Cardinals, especially on the first drive, but their offense solidified and scored on their pursuing drives and held the Cardinals to 6 points in the second half. The Chiefs, on the other hand, beat down the Broncos and won on a game-winning banked field goal. This Chiefs defense matches well with Atlanta, so this will be a fantastic matchup. I have to take my own team in this one, so take Atlanta -3.5 and straight up.
All right, I like the Atlanta Falcons -3.5 and straight up. The Kansas City Chiefs have not covered 2 straight games all season, and the Atlanta Falcons offense is a lot better than the Broncos offense, and they just went up and down the field against the Chiefs. So I think the Matt Ryan and Julio Jones with Freeman is going to have some big numbers, and I think the Falcons will win this game. So take the Falcons -3.5 and straight up.
Our second game was chosen by Billy B, and who can blame him? The Jaguars held in there last week, and the Broncos lost a heartbreaking game to the Chiefs. This one is simple, as the Broncos need this game. Kubiak is just going to do whatever it takes to win, so take the Broncos -4.5 and straight up.
All right, I like the Denver Broncos -4.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a must-win game for the Broncos after losing a heartbreaker to the Chiefs last week. The Broncos defense actually let them down that game. The loss was solely on them. The offense gave them a lead 3 different times, and they blew it. So I think the defense is going to come out. They are already saying that we cost the game, so I think they're going to shut down the Jaguars, and the Broncos offense is going to continue how they played against the Chiefs. So take the Broncos -4.5 and straight up.
Our third matchup seems to be the matchup of the week, when the Giants heading into the Steel City to take on the Steelers. I'm actually rather upset for Giants fans that the Steelers are favored by 5.5 points. People need to start opening up their eyes when it comes to Pittsburgh and stop ranking them and basing their point spreads off of the team's talent, and start looking at how well their team is playing as a whole. Their team absolutely has the best team in the NFL talent-wise, but somehow is still managing a crappy record. Although I think the Steelers will win straight up, there's no way the Giants' defense lets this one get out of hand. Take the Giants to cover.
All right, I like the Pittsburgh Steelers -5.5 against the New York Giants. The Steelers' offense is on a roll. They need to win games to make the playoffs. They had a bad stretch of games early in the season, so they need to make up for that. The Giants are also on a pretty good streak, but they struggled against the Browns for the most part of the game last week. So I think the Steelers are going to just outscore them. So take the Steelers -5.5 and straight up.
Again, another matchup where the Redskins are playing underdog to a team that is unworthy. The Cardinals bummed out in the second half last week, and the Redskins brought it down to the line against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. This Redskins offense is dangerous. I cannot stress this enough. The Cardinals are a good team, but I think the Redskins pull out the win here straight up. They have too many weapons on offense to not put up at least 28 points in this one.
All right, I like the Washington Redskins +2.5 against the Arizona Cardinals. The Redskins will have a little bit extra rest after playing on Thanksgiving. They are the better team in this one. Their offense is surprisingly really good, one of the best in the league. Kirk Cousins is playing great football, and the Arizona Cardinals are just not playing very well right now. So take the Washington Redskins +2.5 and straight up.
We covered our upset pick last week again, and this week we scraped the bottom of the barrel for upset games. My upset pick this week is the 49ers over the Bears. I think Kaepernick can lead this team to a victory against the Bears with the way Eddie Royal is playing and without Jay Cutler and Alshon Jeffrey.
All right, for my upset, I like the San Francisco 49ers plus 2.5 against the Chicago Bears. The 49ers actually played a pretty good game last week. Colin Kaepernick just 2 yards short of winning the game. He ran the ball very effectively, and he actually threw pretty well. So I think that they are going to be catching the bad Chicago team here and finally end their losing streak. The Bears will be playing without Cutler again, and Matt Barkley will be starting. So that's an advantage for the 49ers. So take the 49ers plus 2.5 and straight up.
And here is the rest of our picks for Week 13. For this week's Shame Report, I cannot really shame anyone besides the 30-plus people who thought Jay Ajayi was going to be Week 12's top rusher. Although this was the popular vote, there were 26 running backs who did better than Ajayi. Hell, even Mariota, Kaepernick, and Bortles ran for more yards than Jay Ajayi did.
Tuck it away and run it. First down and first.
His mobility is an asset now.
Even though the Dolphins won, they couldn't seem to get their run game going. The last person or people to get put in the Shame Report is the people over at NFL Network. The Packers win one game after a tough slide of losing games, and all of a sudden they are poised for a playoff run and they cannot count them out just yet. If this was any other 5-6 team, I don't know, let's say the Colts, Chargers, Eagles, or Saints, there wouldn't be any coverage. The NFL needs to hop off Aaron Rodgers' mustache and start putting out relevant stories to those teams that are actually winning. How much coverage have we seen about the Dolphins staying hot and are on a 6-game win streak? Yeah, I didn't think so. In the Hatbox Pick'em League, Cameron Cressamore is raking in the wins and is still our sole leader, who has an overall record of 117-58. The next closest person to him is now 4 games back. Congratulations to him, and don't forget to set your picks for the end of the week. In the Hatbox Survivor Pool, Week 12 was kind to our final 3. Our Week 12 leader and our overall last man undefeated is still Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans chose the New York Giants, who in turn won by 14 points. Congratulations to him, and don't forget to set your pick by the end of the week. After an incredible showing in Week 12, Week 13 looks promising. No one ended up winning last week's giveaway on Twitter on my profile, so this week we will recycle the prize of a cold weather beanie of the team of your choosing. I will post the giveaway question before the 1 p.m. games, and every question will have a deadline. Don't forget to set your lineups in my Pick'em and Survivor pools, and don't forget to answer this week's question of the week. I hope all of you have a great week making your predictions and enjoy the games. I'll see you dudesons in the next video. Peace.